Sagittarius. Get ready for December 2025. Sagittarius, take a gentle breath with me. December 2025 is approaching, and there is a quiet electricity in the air around you. An invisible shifting, a soft trembling, a spiritual readiness you may not fully understand yet. But your soul does. You feel it in the spaces between responsibilities. In the moments when you pause long enough to notice that something inside you is stirring, stretching, awakening after a long season of dimming yourself for the sake of others. For years, you've lived brightly on the outside yet invisibly within your own life. You've carried roles, expectations, and the unspoken weight of being the strong one. So capable, so dependable, so endlessly giving, that others often forgot to look deeper. They saw your resilience but not your tenderness, your competence but not your longing, your generosity but not the quiet ache behind your smile. December 2025 arrives like a cosmic turning point, a doorway meant to lift you out of that quiet invisibility and place you where you have always belonged, fully recognized, deeply valued, undeniably seen. This month carries the signature energy of your sign: expansion, truth, rebirth, alignment. And as your season unfolds, so does your awakening. If these words touch something inside you, let yourself lean in. Like, share, or subscribe only if it feels natural in your heart. Only if this space feels like a sanctuary where you are allowed to rise in your own timing. December is calling, Sagittarius. And it is calling you by your true name. Gate 1. The years of quiet underestimation. Sagittarius, before December 2025 lifts you into the light, we must first walk through the shadows you've lived in, often silently, sometimes unknowingly, and always far longer than your spirit deserved. This gate is about recognition, not from the outside world but from within yourself. A recognition of how much you've carried, how much you've given, and how easily your brilliance has been softened, blurred, or overlooked by those around you. There is a paradox in your life story. You are one of the most expansive signs of the zodiac, ruled by Jupiter, born seeking truth, freedom, meaning. Yet you've spent years shrinking yourself in ways that were never natural to you. And the irony is painful. You dimmed your fire not because you lacked confidence, but because life demanded so much of you that you didn't have the energy left to shine. This dimming wasn't a choice, it was survival. If you look back over the last decade, you'll see it clearly. The moments when you wanted to speak up but swallowed your voice to avoid conflict. The times you offered all your warmth to others and received only fragments in return. The opportunities you knew you were qualified for but stepped back from because someone else needed stability or support. And perhaps most painfully, the countless days you woke up knowing you had more to offer, but the world around you wasn't ready or willing to see it. Women Sagittarius in midlife often tell a similar story. They didn't become invisible because they lacked talent or desire. They became invisible because they were needed everywhere at once. A mother, a daughter, a partner, a therapist, a manager, a healer, a problem solver. So many roles. So much responsibility. And little by little, the world began to view you through the lens of what you could do for others, rather than who you truly were. One woman I worked with, a Sagittarius named Lydia, spent years coordinating her family, caring for her elderly father, managing a full-time job, and keeping her home running smoothly. People praised her strength but rarely asked how she felt. They complimented her efficiency but never acknowledged her dreams. They saw the surface glow of her optimism, not the exhaustion beneath it. She told me once, "I don't think people mean to overlook me. They just forget I'm human." Those words stayed with me, because you too have known this feeling. Your invisibility wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, almost polite. It wrapped itself around you like a soft fog, gentle enough that no one noticed it forming, but persistent enough that one day you realized you had become the background of your own life. This underestimation wasn't only external, it seeped into your internal world too. Sagittarius women are naturally confident, but confidence isn't the same as feeling seen. There's a unique ache that comes from knowing your value yet being treated as though you are optional. That ache shaped you. It made you question whether your desires were too big, your vision too bold, your voice too much. And though you never lost your fire, you learned to lower its flame to avoid drawing too much attention or stirring discomfort. Let's also acknowledge the emotional labor you've carried quietly. The times you supported others' dreams while setting your own aside. The countless conversations where you listened deeply but weren't asked a single question in return. The nights you stayed awake thinking about everyone else's needs, while your own needs waited politely in the background. The years you were physically present but emotionally unseen. Sagittarius, none of this makes you weak. It makes you profoundly human. It shows how fiercely you love, how deeply you commit, how readily you stand up for those who depend on you. But it also reveals why December 2025 becomes so important. You've reached a turning point. You can no longer remain invisible, not to the world and not to yourself. Another truth must be said here. You've been underestimated because others became accustomed to your strength. They mistook your resilience for invulnerability. They assumed you were fine because you rarely complained. They expected you to bounce back because you always have. But strength without recognition becomes a burden. And Sagittarius, you have been carrying that burden gracefully, quietly, almost to the point of disappearing inside it. Now breathe for a moment. Place your hand over your heart. Feel the truth rising. You deserve to be fully seen. Not for the roles you perform but for the soul you are. December 2025 will crack open the shell that formed around you. But before that transformation comes, Gate 1 asks you to acknowledge your past without judgment. Yes, you were overlooked. Yes, you were undervalued. Yes, you hid parts of yourself because life demanded it. Yes, you gave far more than you received. Yes, you lost time, energy, dreams, and pieces of yourself along the way. But here is the deeper truth. All of this was preparation. Underestimation builds inner strength. Quiet suffering builds emotional depth. Being unseen forces you to cultivate self-awareness. Years spent supporting others taught you empathy, patience, and endurance. Qualities that leaders and visionaries are built from. The universe wasn't punishing you. It was shaping you for a moment of emergence so powerful that you had to be spiritually ready to hold it. And now you are. Gate 1 closes when you allow yourself to say, I deserved more than what I received. And I am ready to receive what truly aligns with me. This acknowledgement is not weakness, it is liberation. Because the moment you recognize how deeply you were unseen, you prepare yourself to be fully visible in a way you've never been before. December will not arrive quietly, it will arrive like a sunrise. And you will not step into it as the overlooked version of yourself. You will step into it as the woman who remembers her worth. Gate 2, December's cosmic spotlight. You can't hide Amwamori Sagittarius. Gate 2 is where everything begins to shift. December 2025 is not just another month on the calendar. It is the cosmic spotlight you've been unknowingly moving toward for years. For so long, the world saw you only partially, vaguely, through the edges of your identity. But December has different plans for you. And whether you feel ready or not, life is preparing to place you at the center of a stage that was always meant for you. This spotlight is not the kind that blinds you or exposes you. It is the kind that reveals you. It lifts the veil you've been living behind. The layer of exhaustion, responsibility, and emotional self-protection that once dimmed your presence. In its place rises a version of you that is clearer, stronger, more vibrant, and more magnetic than anything you've expressed in years. December is your season, your cosmic homecoming. And when the Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Jupiter all touch your energy field, they don't just highlight you, they amplify you. This is why hiding becomes impossible. The universe is done letting you play small. Let's begin with the first sign of this shift. People around you start paying attention in a way they never have before. The ones who once overlooked you suddenly pause when you speak. Those who dismissed your ideas begin to reconsider them. Individuals who once took your kindness for granted now recognize its rarity. And the ones who previously couldn't see you, emotionally, spiritually, or professionally, find themselves drawn to you without understanding why. They will say things like, "You seem different," even though you haven't changed. What has changed is your visibility. I think of a Sagittarius woman I worked with, Elena, who had spent years feeling peripheral in her own workplace. She was skilled, dedicated, creative, but constantly overshadowed by louder personalities. One December, after a strong Sagittarius transit, everything shifted. Her supervisor suddenly noticed the depth of her contributions. She was invited into meetings she had never been a part of. A project she quietly led earned praise from people in higher positions. Elena hadn't changed her work ethic. She only stepped into a moment where the universe aligned the spotlight directly onto her. Her visibility was not a reward, it was timing. December 2025 brings that kind of alignment for you. And this spotlight affects all Sagittarius, but differently depending on your birth range. Let's explore these three groups in a way that honors your individuality. For Sagittarius born in early December, November 23rd to December 2nd, your recognition comes through your professional or vocational path. A boss, a teacher, a mentor, or someone in a position of influence finally sees your true potential. There may be or an unexpected offer, or a leadership opportunity, or a promotion that seemed out of reach, or a project that elevates your reputation. This is not luck, it is long-awaited recognition. You've been preparing for this without realizing it. For Sagittarius born in mid-December, December 3rd to December 12th, your spotlight comes through relationships. Someone in your life, either new or already present, finally sees you deeply, not for what you do but for who you are. This person's recognition feels like oxygen. It may be a partner, a friend, a colleague, or even a family member who suddenly acknowledges your emotional depth. This is the moment where you stop feeling invisible in love. For Sagittarius born in late December, December 13th to December 21st, your spotlight is creative, spiritual, or expressive. A project, gift, or talent you share in December gains attention far beyond your expectations. Something you write, say, create, or teach may ripple outward in powerful ways. You were born to influence through meaning, and December turns up the volume on your impact. But regardless of your exact birthday, all Sagittarius experience the same core transformation. The right people finally see you. Not the ones who wanted you dimmer. Not the ones who benefited from your invisibility. Not the ones who only valued you when you were convenient. December brings the people who are aligned with your spirit. These are the people who recognize your inner fire, appreciate your generosity, admire your courage, respect your truth, and value your heart. And here's the beautiful part, they don't need you to perform. They don't need you to be on. They see you when you're soft, quiet, tender, human. And they respond to that version of you with warmth and admiration. You will notice this shift most clearly in how others treat your presence. Suddenly you become the person others seek out. Not because you're giving endlessly, but because your energy becomes magnetic. Your authenticity becomes your gravity. People feel safe with you, inspired by you, drawn to you. This is the resonance of Sagittarius in her full power. There's another part to this cosmic spotlight. Opportunities. Doors that were closed begin to open with ease. Conversations you once avoided become effortless. Paths that seemed blocked become illuminated. You might feel like everything starts happening faster, and that's because Sagittarius energy is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion. When your season aligns with Jupiter's blessings, stagnation ends. Momentum begins. December 2025 is not subtle. It does not whisper. It does not wait. It rises like the sun, and you rise with it. But this visibility requires something from you too, willingness. A willingness to step into spaces where you once felt uncertain. A willingness to speak truths you once silenced. A willingness to accept recognition instead of deflecting it. This month asks you to stop shrinking to make others comfortable. One Sagittarius woman told me, "I always tried not to shine too much because I didn't want others to feel overshadowed. But here is the truth you must embrace. Your light does not diminish others. Your light invites others to find their own." That is the essence of Sagittarius. Gate 2 ends with this realization. You are not becoming someone new in December 2025. You are becoming visible as the person you have always been. Gate 3 December 2025 requires claiming, not waiting. Sagittarius, as we step into Gate 3, the energy of December becomes clearer, sharper, more demanding. This is not a month that rewards passivity. It is not a month where blessings simply fall into your hands while you remain silent or hesitant. December 2025 asks you to make a choice. Will you receive what is coming, or will you claim what has always belonged to you? There is a profound difference between the two. Receiving is gentle, passive, almost accidental. It happens when someone hands you something. Claiming is intentional. It is the moment you step forward, lift your chin, open your palms and say without apology, "This is mine because I have earned it." This is mine because I am aligned with it. This is mine because it is the natural extension of who I am becoming. For much of your life, Sagittarius, you have been conditioned, subtly or directly, to wait. To wait for recognition. To wait for permission. To wait for the right timing. To wait for the right emotional climate. To wait until you were more prepared, less busy, less overwhelmed, more confident. This waiting became a lifestyle, even when you didn't consciously choose it. And beneath that waiting lived an old fear, the fear of being too much. This is something Sagittarius women feel deeply but rarely speak about. You fear overwhelming others with your ideas, your passion, your intensity, your honesty. You fear threatening people who are comfortable with mediocrity. You fear being judged as arrogant for simply knowing your worth. You fear standing out in ways that trigger the insecurities of those around you. So you shrink, not dramatically but quietly. You soften your opinions. You hold back your brilliance. You downplay your capabilities. You pretend you're fine with being in the background. You let others take credit because it feels easier than stepping into conflict. You convince yourself that your time will come later, when the conditions are perfect. Sagittarius, December 2025 is not later. It is now. And this cosmic timing is intentional. December drags your brilliance to the surface whether you're ready or not. But here's the truth. This surge of visibility will feel chaotic or overwhelming, only if you try to receive it passively. If you try to stay small while the universe tries to make you big, the friction will be painful. The only way to move through December with grace is to actively claim your place. Let me share a true story that mirrors what many Sagittarius women experience. A client of mine, an educator named Mari, had spent years being the quiet backbone of her team. She trained new staff, solved crises silently, and carried emotional weight no one else noticed. Everyone liked her but no one truly saw her. When an administrative position opened, people assumed someone louder would be chosen. But Mari felt something stirring inside her. An inner push, a calling. For the first time in decades, she didn't wait. She didn't shrink. She didn't say, maybe next year. She claimed the role. She expressed her vision boldly. She spoke with clarity and conviction. She told me later, it wasn't that I became more talented that month. I simply stopped hiding. And the moment she stopped hiding, everything aligned. This is exactly the energy of December 2025 for you. The universe is placing opportunities in your path, but they will remain invisible if you do not lift your eyes and acknowledge your right to them. This gate asks you to examine the subtle ways you diminish yourself. When someone compliments you, do you deflect? When an opportunity appears, do you assume someone else deserves it more? When you have an idea, do you wait for someone else to validate it? When your intuition nudges you, do you silence it out of politeness? These micro moments of self-denial form the architecture of invisibility. December demands that you dismantle that architecture brick by brick. Another layer of claiming is this: you must choose to be seen intentionally. Not dramatically, not performatively, but authentically. That might mean asking for what you truly want in a relationship. It might mean sending the email you've been avoiding. It might mean stepping into a leadership role, even if your voice shakes a little. It might mean sharing your creative work instead of perfecting it endlessly. It might mean telling someone, I am ready for more. It might mean admitting, I deserve better than this. Claiming is not arrogance. Claiming is alignment. And here's the transformative truth. When you claim your place, you don't take anything from anyone else. You simply step into the space the universe carved specifically for you. Sagittarius, there is something inside you that the world has been waiting for. A wisdom, a warmth, a vision, a creative voice, a leadership energy. For years you've been the quiet flame. December turns you into the torch. But torches don't wait. They light the path. They guide others. They stand tall. They burn boldly. In this month you will feel moments of invitation. Subtle openings, intuitive nudges, chances to speak when you normally would stay silent. Each of these moments is a cosmic cue. Step forward, not back. You might feel nervous. You might feel uncertain. Your old self might whisper, play it safe. But your new self, the version of you that December is birthing, knows better. This new self is not reckless or loud. She is clear. She is steady. She is intentional. She knows her worth not because others validate it, but because it is inherent. Gate 3 ends with this knowing. December is not the month you wait to be chosen. It is the month you choose yourself. Gate 4. Becoming the lighthouse of your life. Sagittarius, Gate 4 is where everything you've learned, endured, and reclaimed begins to crystallize into a new identity. One that no longer bends, hides, or apologizes for its brilliance. This is the gate of embodiment. This is where you stop preparing to shine and simply shine. December 2025 does not merely give you visibility. It asks you to maintain it, to inhabit it, to lead from it with the grace and quiet power that are uniquely yours. You have spent years being many things to many people. A source of warmth, encouragement, guidance, practicality, wisdom, and emotional support. You've held others up while silencing your own exhaustion. You've been the calm in storms, the optimism in chaos, the one who keeps faith alive even when circumstances crumble. Because of this, most people around you have never truly seen the full architecture of your strength. They've only seen the part you allowed to surface, the part you could sustain without burning out. But December changes that. It shifts you from being the unnoticed light in the corner to the lighthouse standing tall at the shoreline. Steady, unmistakable, undeniable. The lighthouse doesn't chase ships, doesn't ask for attention, doesn't need applause. It simply shines. It fulfills its purpose by being itself. And that is exactly what December is shaping you into. To become the lighthouse of your life, the first transformation you must accept is emotional presence. You can no longer disappear into old patterns of avoidance, exhaustion, or self-sacrifice. Leadership, true Sagittarius-style leadership, begins when you stay present even when you feel tender, unsure, or afraid. This presence is not about forcing confidence. It's about allowing authenticity. I once worked with a Sagittarius woman in her early 50s who had spent most of her adult life blending into the background of her own brilliance. She raised a family, ran a home, built a career, and supported everyone around her. Yet she had grown so accustomed to functioning quietly that when a community leadership role was offered to her, she hesitated. Not because she doubted her ability, but because she wasn't used to being publicly seen. She told me, "I've always been the helper, not the one in the spotlight." But December arrived with fiery Sagittarius energy, and she chose to step forward anyway. When she accepted the role, something extraordinary happened. People who had known her for years suddenly realized how much wisdom she held. They began seeking her guidance, trusting her vision, leaning into her insight. She didn't become more capable overnight. She simply became more visible. This is the kind of shift December brings you. Another key aspect of becoming the lighthouse is holding your boundaries with compassion. Sagittarius women often let their light flicker because they stretch themselves too thin, saying yes when they want to say no, investing energy where it drains instead of nourishes, allowing emotional obligations to override their inner needs. A lighthouse without boundaries burns out. December 2025 teaches you that your energy is sacred, not unlimited. You cannot guide others if you are dim. You cannot lead if you are depleted. You cannot inspire if you are exhausted. This month invites you to choose differently. To say, "I love you and I can't give more than I have." To say, "I matter too." To say, "My needs deserve space in this world." To say, "I will no longer carry what is not mine to carry." These boundaries are not walls. They are channels that direct your light where it is truly needed. A lighthouse also symbolizes reliability. This does not mean rigidity or perfection. It means consistency in your truth. To embody this, you must release the old fear of being judged for who you genuinely are. Sagittarius has always been known for truth-telling, but somewhere along the journey, you may have softened your honesty to keep peace or avoid conflict. December asks you to return to your natural authenticity. Not harsh, not confrontational, but deeply real. When you speak from your truth, people listen. Not because your voice is louder, but because your words carry integrity. Your presence becomes grounding. Your guidance becomes meaningful. Your decisions become trusted. This is what leadership looks like when it comes from the heart rather than the ego. December's energy will also draw people toward you in ways that might surprise you. Strangers, colleagues, friends, even family members may begin to seek your advice or presence. They won't articulate it clearly, but they will feel it. Your steadiness, your clarity, your emotional warmth. People gravitate toward authenticity, and yours will be impossible to ignore. Yet one of the most important lessons of this gate is this. Being the lighthouse does not mean carrying others. You illuminate, you do not drag. You guide, you do not rescue. You inspire, you do not deplete. You support, you do not shrink. Standing in your light means letting others carry their own weight and walk their own paths. It means trusting adults to be adults. It means honoring your own spiritual, emotional, and creative space. Another element of this transformation is learning the art of receiving. Sagittarius women are extraordinarily generous. They pour love, wisdom, humor, energy, and loyalty into everyone they care about. But receiving, that's where the discomfort begins. Compliments make you shy. Opportunities make you hesitate. Emotional support makes you feel guilty. Praise makes you deflect. December requires you to stop deflecting. When someone sees you, let it land. When someone praises your work, let the warmth reach your chest. When someone offers help, let yourself accept it. When life hands you something beautiful, stop waiting for the catch. Receiving is not weakness. Receiving is expansion. Receiving is fuel. Receiving is alignment with Jupiter, the planet that governs you. When you allow yourself to receive, your light grows. And when your light grows, your life aligns. Gate 4 reaches its final truth here. You are not being invited to lead because the world needs another authority. You are being invited to lead because the world needs another source of authenticity, courage, generosity, and clarity. You are being called into your natural role. Not the loud leader, not the controlling leader, but the soulful leader. The lighthouse. The guide. The one whose presence reminds others that they too can rise. December 2025 is not about changing who you are. It is about stepping into who you were always meant to be. Conclusion. Your December portal of visibility. Sagittarius, as we arrive at the closing of this journey, breathe deeply into the truth that has been unfolding around you. December 2025 is not simply a month you are approaching. It is a threshold, a portal, a moment in time designed to bring you back to yourself in a way you may not have experienced in years, perhaps even decades. You have walked through invisibility, through underestimation, through silent strength that no one fully recognized. You have carried more than most will ever understand. And yet here you stand, still expansive, still hopeful, still capable of rising. This month does not give you a new identity. It reveals the one you buried beneath responsibility, tenderness, fear, and exhaustion. It reminds you that your spirit was never dim, only quiet. Your brilliance never disappeared. It simply waited for the moment when you would finally feel safe enough, strong enough, ready enough to let it shine without apology. December is that moment. This portal brings recognition not as a gift, but as a reflection. The world will begin to respond to the clarity you've regained, the presence you've reclaimed, the boundaries you've strengthened, the courage you've stepped into. You are becoming the lighthouse of your own life, steady and radiant. Not because you crave attention, but because you finally understand that being fully seen is part of your soul's contract. If this message has touched you, if it has awakened something long asleep within you, feel welcome to stay connected. Like, share, or subscribe only if it aligns with your heart. Only if this space feels like the sanctuary you've been seeking. Here your truth is safe. Here your expansion is celebrated. Here your visibility is honored. December 2025 is calling your name, Sagittarius. And this time the world will finally see you the way you were always meant to be seen.